Welcome back, gentlemen, and everybody who's about to hop on with us. As always, we will set this up just to check in. Just to check in. I'll save Rich for last. So it's Deuce. Welcome back again, for a prolonged amount of time early. How you been, man?
Hey, work was keeping your boy down, man, but I got free today. Just like Richard's intros, I kept it short and brief at the job, man. Got straight to the point.
I can dig it. Lynn.
Yo.
How have you been?
No complaints. It's been an okay week. It was sad to see the good Reverend Jackson pass on. I'm gonna share a picture with you guys a little bit later. But
Hey, that one you sent was that was tight. The one I saw was tight. The one you sent was tight. That was.
Man, I can't even look. That story. Listen, that story is bananas.
Yeah,
it's bananas. And I thought in my head that I had a picture with Mutombo as well because he was there. So you know how you imagine how something because I took that was an 07 picture.
Yeah.
So I imagine it was all four of us, and I'm sitting there. Wow, I'm in a picture with four icons that have all passed on, and that's not how the picture was at all.
Yeah.
It was just three of us, and then Mutombo's in the picture with those three. But it's crazy, just crazy. I've lived a life. I've had some good. I met Reverend Jackson at a spot in New Orleans called soul food place called Dookie Chase, and I believe it's still open. But it's one of those. It's in the hood, but the food was excellent. And he rolled in there. It was 99, so 26, 27 years ago. He rolled in there with his entourage, and he was just as pleasant a man as a man could be. Just humble. Took time, took pictures. Cell phone pictures weren't the thing in 99, but he took regular pictures, throwaway camera pictures. He accommodated everybody.
Good old days.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember those.
Exactly.
You got to take him to Walgreens, get him to
right.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so a little bit disheartened. And I watched his Keep Hope Alive speech yesterday, and it was inspirational. It's not I have a dream, but it's I have a dream adjacent.
Yeah.
It was a powerful speech. You know how we re-examine people after they passed on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough week. Absolutely. Condolences to his family, and for all intents and purposes, what a legacy. So yeah, absolutely. Rest in peace, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Rich, I'm trying to see if this is gonna be the week.
Yeah,
surprise me.
I've been waiting all day, bro. What's up?
I know, right?
Give it to us.
Today's Black History Month.
Come on now.
Whole month is Black History Month. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much. Let's get to it.
Man.
Oh man, I was hoping for something.
I
was paused in the anticipation. I knew something was coming. I thought something.
When I bring it to you, when I bring it, trust and believe. When I start, I'll make up for all these other times. That's all I'll say.
Okay. All right. I get it. My week has been busy. Running kids to school and all that good stuff. All that good stuff that comes along with it. So can't complain. Absolutely love it. Wish I could have been doing it sooner, but I'll take it.
Yep.
I will take it. So yeah, that's That's the weekly wrap up on the personal side. Moving forward, jumping into the first topic. I don't know. Actually, so this thought came to me because Rich had touched on it a few times,
Mhm.
and I was like, yeah, it is about time to do a follow up with this information to see where we are with things and see how America's doing with their vote and their belief in the big beautiful bill, uh,
Mm.
and having faith in our politicians who, well, I'll save that part for later. But Rich has touched on a couple of things on multiple different occasions that we got to circle back around to because they absolutely do deserve conversation. The biggest thing, or one of the biggest things, being healthcare. So the House passed the ACA extensions, right? And so there hasn't been much movement in the Senate outside of a failed proposal on both ends, with the Republicans proposing essentially the bank account to put funds in, right? Because that's what it sounds like to me. It ain't really even a savings account. It's just a regular checking account. There's no anyway. So they proposed that, right? And the Democrats essentially wanted to maintain. I don't want to call it the status quo because since COVID, there was an enhancement for healthcare subsidies, right? And so where we are right now, just to tap into where we are right now when it comes to healthcare in America, the ACA itself has not expired. It has not expired. It's still law. And so what does that mean? Essentially, I see, Rich. Essentially, what that means is people with pre-existing conditions can still get covered. They can still get covered. The change, however, comes in out-of-pocket expense. That's the part that a lot of Americans were missing, and they did not think or consider what was going to happen to. They didn't think it was real, in my opinion. I could be wrong. We'll check in with everybody in a second.
Yeah.
Right. So with that being said, Deuce, where are you at on it? Where do you believe?
I think it's crazy that people, the non-believers, I don't know how they didn't know because it was written everywhere. I know people were talking about it. You might not believe the talking heads, but it's written. You can plain as day. And people knew it was going to hurt the American people. I'm still bewildered by it. I'm still shocked. I know a couple of associates of mine that are in that predicament, and they voted a specific way. And it's the whole F around and find out. They're finding out even after we had conversations, and I sent them documents with .gov on the end of it, and articles from left and right that both say the same thing. And they thought that those subsidy payments will be coming to them directly. So I think that's part of the cloak and dagger. I don't know why they thought that. They could never send me a source to that. The people.
Yeah, where did that thought come from?
I think there was some confusion with what he was saying as far as like the health savings accounts, right? Putting money in there. But that's transitioned to now just a plain check account that's not protected by tax, right? But they thought the amount would be higher because they thought they were going to get a large portion of that to them. Now, the amount, I don't know where they got that from, unless you guys know. They thought they were going to be getting a dump truck load of money coming to them to help pay for healthcare. That part I'm lost on.
I see. Lynn, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that because that's a great question. Lee, I just posted the link. I will put it in. Give me a second. I'll put it in the Facebook link right there for you. So Lynn, where are you at with it? Because you dabble in the industry that is affected by healthcare.
Oh yeah. Right now, people are still getting bills that reflect the old way of doing things. In my world, now I don't do a lot of individual health insurance. I do small groups, things like that. Because the easiest way for someone in financial services to get sued is through health insurance.
Really?
Yes. So unless you want to be an expert in health insurance, you should never dabble in health insurance, because all it takes is for one person to get a policy that they chose for the dollar, and then they have a health event, and then that policy doesn't cover that health event. And they will swear on a stack of Bibles that they would have got that policy had you sold it to them. And now here you are. So that's, the ugly side of what I do. But right now I haven't, went through the House. And I think, aren't they on like a break or something right now?
I
can't look. In sports, we complain about load management. You talk about these cats,
They beating Kawhi Leonard on this one.
Exactly. Exactly. Or I don't know if you hear about this brother that's running for Senate in Texas, Wesley Hunt. Y'all familiar with Wesley Hunt?
No.
Well, he's going for John Conran's seat, and he's a brother, and he has missed 77 votes. In 25, he missed 77. What else is there to do if you're a politician in DC? Vote and go out to dinner. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's
babies.
So it's a to be continued ... with respect to that other shoe falling, and they're okay, I think, with the stall, because they're still trying to figure out something better, and they can't come up with something better. And I do have clients who have 26-year-olds still on their health insurance because of the ACA or Obamacare, and people who have pre-existing conditions getting coverage. When I started, pregnancy was a pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
Once you were pregnant, you couldn't get health insurance unless you got a job that offered you health insurance. That was the workaround, the loophole.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
So your clients haven't seen an increase?
Not yet, but we're ready for them.
Okay.
When they do, we already have a plan B. It's still going to be high, but it's not going to be as high as the premium without the subsidies, the credits.
Okay. So will it help? Essentially, is it still going to help buffer or close a bit of a gap that's created from this cliff? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, but a lot of people are going to opt. Here's what'll happen. Here's what'll happen. They'll start, and then when stuff gets tight, they're going to let it go. That's what's going to happen. That's what happens with most individually owned insurance.
Yeah.
You start it, you're paying it, money gets tight, and you got to start making decisions, lights, food, mortgage, and insurance just goes, and the thinking is I'm going to let it go now and get back to it down the road.
So
And
what
that's real.
happens in those situations?
Say again?
What happens in those types of situations?
People just end up, they have a gap in coverage. In some, they have mechanisms like some states, not all of them, they realize when you have a gap in your car insurance.
Yeah.
But, and sometimes your mortgage company will find out you have a gap in your homeowners. And then they'll go and buy it for you and slap it on your mortgage bill.
Mm-hmm.
Slap it on your escrow.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
insurance is one of the first things to go.
Rich, what is your take on it?
So I want to go back to what you said. You said that the ACA, the Affordable
Yep,
Care
I saw you. I
something.
saw you frown up from that. Yeah.
You said that they didn't expire, but when I'm reading on this site, it's saying they did expire on December 31st, 2025.
The
Yeah, I'm reading that it
subsidies,
went back to
subsidies,
2021.
Subsidies.
right?
Yeah.
But not the plan. The plan has not expired.
Okay. I have nothing more to add.
Say that again.
I
He
have
has nothing more to
add.
add.
Well, I think there's a little more to add.
Okay.
And well, the reason why I say that is because we were told that prices were going to go down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Affordability, right? And then affordability became a bit of a cuss word, or don't say that word around me because it's offensive type of deal to POTUS. We called it an affordability hoax, if memory serves me right.
And a scam.
And a scam. And so, first off, who is this going to affect the most? Who is this going to affect the most is the question that I have for the panel. Len, who do you think is going to affect the most?
Middle class and what do we call it? Lowest class, poor, and the thing about the poverty level situation is that now you're in a position where you want to get assistance and you make too much
Ha!
for assistance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so if you're making $25,000 in Texas, you don't qualify for assistance. You're making too much money, but you're making just over $2,000 a month, and this is gross.
Yeah,
Not net.
yeah.
It's gross. So you're poor, you're broke, you're stretched, but you don't qualify for any of the programs. The program's got a number that's in the high teens. So, it's where those are the folks that are going to be affected the most because they don't have the resources, they don't have the access to those lifelines that could help them out in a situation. So now you got to start making, hard choices.
So, okay, Rich, it's on you. Who is this? Who do you think this is going to affect
So I won't disagree with Lynn.
The most, right?
the most? Yeah.
So I won't disagree with Lynn. I feel like tonight, this whole show is about Lynn. This is all healthcare.
No,
That's
I
different.
know it's about
than-
healthcare. It's going to be him. So it says here on the GovFacts, if you trust this particular site, govfacts.org, it says older working Americans, those between 50 and 64, represent the most vulnerable group. Too young for Medicare, but at an age when health problems become more common and more expensive.
they're also called middle-aged.
Yeah.
That's the same bracket as middle-aged people, 50 to 64,
Okay.
which I found fascinating.
Okay. And then it also says that blacks the blacks in America and the Hispanic Americans, they face compounded challenges. Uninsurance among Black Americans is projected to increase 22%. Hispanic Americans increased by 15%, though this figure is complicated by immigration eligibility restrictions that began affecting subsidy availability in 2026. I'm stopping there. So you said who's affected the most? It appears older working age Americans between 50 and 64.
Yeah. Deuce, where are you at?
It's affecting the working class. You know what's funny? A big base that is going to affect?
Who?
MAGA. A lot of MAGA falls into the categories that you guys are saying. So it's funny how some people try to shoot off the foot and then say you're gonna run a marathon the next day. I ain't seen the one-legged dude win a marathon yet. I seen some run. I ain't seen
they're
one win
running,
yet.
but they're not
They're
winning.
running, and they ain't gonna win it. So
We
that's
appreciate
who's
that.
affected. I mean, there's a broad spectrum of Americans that fall within that working class and the lower class, right? But within that segment, a large quantity of MAGA falls in there. Also, the base, not the elites, the base. So
Yeah, and so on that point, the states that are affected the most, I'll bet my paycheck that y'all know the answer to this. Which
the color
state?
of those states? The color of those states? Is that what you're asking?
Okay, we'll even go with that. Well, it's hard to go with that because of the how this last election actually looked. But geographically, which states were affected and are going to be affected the most?
no, I'm gonna bet and say the SEC. I was about to say football. Southeast.
Yeah, the SEC.
Wow.
Them SEC
I walked
areas.
into that one. Yeah. That's gonna be my bet. You know, the funny thing, the thing I find hilarious about this, one of their talking points is that it costs too much money, right? And I've seen different estimates on how much it costs per year for the subsidies, which is just a tax write-off, right? Tax credit. They say it costs too much. Yet DoD spending has gone up. Homeland Security spending has gone up. Money in other areas that are favored by the MAGA base, supposedly, have gone up. So that whole argument that this costs too much doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, does refitting a multi-million-dollar plane as a gift? I mean, that should be a priority, right?
That should be. That should be. You would think that's the top priority, right? That's more important than anything else, right?
We gotta have a new Air Force One, but
Yeah, got to from another country. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
of course.
Mm.
No mind we ain't gonna worry about the bugs or making sure that the Homeland Security Secretary has her own private jet, right? But that's neither here nor there. Rich, tap in. I saw you getting ready to say something.
I was going to say I agree with Deuce.
What? Hey, wait a minute.
I can't agree with Lynn and Stephanie and Deuce tonight. There's a law against that.
No. And the reason why I'm saying that is
Freedom
because
is gone.
you said, well, he said a key phrase that you usually jump in on,
What's
and that's about it costing too much.
Well,
That's just into the money part. Just print the money.
well, listen to this.
Because it's fake.
It is. So
Well, let me not say it's fake because I don't want to disrespect anybody because it's
No,
it's
wait a
based
minute.
off of perspective
So listen
and
to this.
perception.
So
picked up on the tone.
here's the thing.
Oh yeah, this part I forgot about that.
It's going to affect a lot of people. And, it really comes down to, what do you believe we can afford and not afford in this country? And it comes down to your priorities. So when the U.S. government, under the direction of the president, says we're going to ship money to whatever foreign country to help them, but yet at the same time, you tell Americans we can't afford to do these certain things regarding the socialization of healthcare. So which one's more important? Sending money to foreign countries, and those foreign countries' resources are going to come back to America, but only certain people in America are going to benefit from those resources financially. So it comes down to your list of priorities. So when they tell you, oh, we can't afford to do all this for healthcare, whether it's the House or the Senate, or they, come together and come to some type of agreement, they're always telling you what they can't afford, but they won't ever address the fact that the money does get printed out of thin air. They can't tell you where all that money goes, and it goes to the Pentagon for Pentagon spending every year. So at some point, what matters to you, you always have money for. And what doesn't matter to you, you don't have money for. And so what Deuce was saying is, a lot of people who voted for Trump, his base, are probably recipients of these subsidies. So he has time for your vote to help him get reelected. When it comes time to your health care, well, if you get caught up along with the blacks, Hispanics, well, that's too bad for you. That shows you how much he cares about you. But I want to be diplomatic. I don't want to come across like a Republican or a Democrat, because I'm neither one. But it comes down to the fact, I don't care what they tell you on TV about our great country with its character faults. Your money is printed from thin air. Until you address the fact that the U.S. government does not print its own money. The Federal Reserve tells the Treasury, which is part of the U.S. government, to print up money. But if they're not told by the Federal Reserve how much money to print up, the Treasury doesn't print up the money. And therefore, that way you know that your government does not print its own money. They get the okay to print the money from a private corporation called the Federal Reserve. Until you address that, then we're always talking the same thing on these podcasts, which no other podcast, only on the Family Bloodline. This is the only podcast that addressed that without coming across as being racist or prejudiced or biased or bigoted. I think I've run out of words, or anti-Semitic. Get all those words in here, because we are not those things. We're simply saying, if you don't have your own bank and control the printing of your own bank, a U.S. federal bank, not called the Federal Reserve, then you'll continue to have people, whether it's through healthcare, whether it's through gun laws, whether it's through social programs, whatever, arguing among ourselves, oftentimes racially divided because of the lack of money. And you cannot get around this. So the same thing they were talking about back in the 60s in the minority communities, the black community, the brown community, is the same thing that the black and brown community is talking about today. It's the exact same thing. And healthcare, unfortunately, encompasses all the communities, regardless of their race. That's the unifying thing about healthcare. Everybody's going to die one day, and we all need a good hospital. And don't tell me that I gave my life for this country, for the number one country, including our character faults, the number one country on earth. I'm biased. Don't tell me I have the number one country and you can't give me the number one healthcare for free. I'm sorry, but I'm not a socialist, because I know we're a capitalist country. So I want us to not have a cap. I don't want a salary cap in the pro sports, football and basketball. Thank God for baseball, they don't have a cap. Because in this free market economy, You get paid what the market plays out. But when it comes to your health care, to me, that shouldn't be part of the free market. That should be part of the righteous market. But that's just me.
What part of America market system has righteousness in it? That's rhetorical. That's rhetorical. Just wanted to throw that out there. I do, however, want to read an article from healthinsurance.org that I found interesting, and then in a little bit I'll share some of the questions that I asked ChatGPT just to get a bit of a gauge for a couple of states to see what the increase is going to quite possibly look like. All right, so I was reading this, and Lynn, I think you were spot on when you mentioned older folks. It says many older marketplace buyers face drastic premium hikes. With the subsidy cliff returning to the health insurance market in 2026, a 63-year-old couple in Charleston, West Virginia, which is a very poor state, mind you, earning $85,000 a year, which is actually really high for that state. It's very high. Will pay more than 15 times as much for the lowest cost gold plan compared with what they paid in 2025. In 2025, they would have paid about $300 a month for the lowest cost gold plan, and they even had access to a zero premium bronze plan. But because Congress didn't extend the subsidy enhancements that had been keeping coverage more affordable since 2021, this hypothetical couple has lost their subsidy altogether. To buy the lowest cost gold plan in 2025, they would have paid $300 per month. But in 2026, the premium is about $4,562 a month for the lowest cost gold plan.
They can't.
The lowest cost bronze plan in 2025 had a premium at all for this couple's demographics, as their subsidy covered the full cost. But in 2026, the lowest cost gold plan has a premium of $3,648 a month. If they decided to keep the gold plan, they'll be spending 2/3. Wow. Because 9 o'clock here for me, I'm free, right? But if they decided keep the gold plan, they'll be spending 2/3 of their household income on health insurance. That's health insurance alone.
Yep.
So let me jump in here and say this.
Yeah.
If that website is reputable, if they are telling the truth, then this election is the Democrats. It's over, said and done. It doesn't matter what, even the only way President Trump can get himself out of this situation, he can't send out a $500 stimulus. You know what? Even a $2,000 ain't enough. He'd have to send out
monthly.
Yeah,
it'd have to be
he'd
monthly.
have to send out a monthly stimulus check, but he can't because he's a Republican. And so if you were sending out a monthly stimulus check, well, wait a minute. You're not just sending those checks to Black folks and Mexicans or Blacks and Hispanics. You send that to the good white folks of America that make this country great, which is fine. But then you would have to try to figure out how could you discriminate against the minorities and still get the good white folks these stimulus monthly checks.
So here's the thing I keep thinking about, the thing I keep asking myself, the way Trump's been moving since he's been elected is to make himself richer, right? He's made, I would wager that he's made more money than any other president, period.
Oh yeah,
in just his first year, right?
Yeah.
So the thing I can't wrap my head around is how does this make him or his associates money? Because United Healthcare has gone off the cliff, right? If you remove the subsidies, it's going to force more people out of insurance. There will be more uninsured people because they can't afford it, which means more hospitals will close. We talked about that with the Medicaid restrictions, right? Those hospitals in the country, small towns, right? They're going to close. So less access, less doctors. And you see the nurses, you already made them, they're not a professional category of career anymore, which means it's harder to get money to go to school for that.
Mm-hmm.
And he also made it harder to become a doctor because he did away with that type, the Parent Plus student loan, right? So it's almost like this is an all-encompassing attack on healthcare. And I can't figure it out, like, who is going to benefit from this, right? Sure, they can reshuffle the money to other agencies that they like, but undercutting the people is tough. And then the richest part, saying that this is going to be a Democratic win for the midterms. I still mostly think that. But the rhetoric that's coming out of the White House now, federalizing elections only in Democratic states, doing away with the mail-in vote, right? Which I don't put it past them. I think you can probably swing that, or do it at the right time where it is canceled for the election, and then the court will come in later and say, no, this is wrong, but it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter. It's inconsequential. But back to the other question, who's winning in this battle?
They're still winning.
No, well, not the vote, but in Medicaid, in medicine, in the whole thing, healthcare.
The billionaires will still win.
How?
Right?
Well, the insurance companies are.
They're not winning.
Yeah.
Yes.
They are.
How? Please break that down.
They are.
Death pays.
Yeah,
Death
because
pays
the way they price the care versus the premiums. Because check this out. Most people who pay health insurance don't use it.
Right.
Or if they use it at all, they use it once a year.
Like a gym membership in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where that is happening. Most people that pay car insurance don't have accidents. You know, so that's where that's how they're winning, because people are paying, and like I said, people are going to start like same thing I tell with life insurance companies. I give the gym analogy. Life insurance companies love for you to stop paying your premium.
Yeah.
When you're alive.
Why?
Because they didn't lose anything.
Okay, I get with the life insurance. Let me ask you a question about. Let me ask one question. Let me ask this question about the health insurance part, though. You said, let me ask this one question. You said that they're winning because premiums are going up, but if you have less people paying premiums overall, you make less money.
Right, but you're still getting more premiums versus claims paid.
Wait a minute. The key
because
question,
most people, like I said, most people aren't going to the doctor every month, but they're paying a premium to go see the doctor every month.
Yeah.
But the key question is, when you said life insurance,
yeah.
So the difference is, if you had a term and you missed the payment, so what? But if you had whole life and you missed the payment, you've lost everything?
No, it depends on how old the policy. That's trickier. That's a trickier scenario. Term is cut and dry. Term is like rent. You don't pay your rent, what happens?
You get evicted.
You're on the street.
Yeah.
You don't pay your mortgage, what happens?
You lose your house.
You lose the house.
No. You got programs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You can do a mitigation. You can do, you got, they're not even on you for 90 days sometimes in some cases. So you got time.
Yeah.
Landlord ain't giving you 90 days to get right. But you can get right with your mortgage. You have more flexibility in holding on to your house than you do holding on to your apartment. Same thing happens with a whole life policy. If you have enough cash value, you can borrow from your cash value to pay the premium. And in essence, you're taking $1 out of your right pocket and putting it into your left.
I get that for life insurance, but it still
that
doesn't
was
make sense to me for healthcare. I know the Richard's point, but it still doesn't make sense for me to healthcare. Yeah, you charge more for healthcare, but you're going to lose more people. They're going to stop. They're not going to pay. They're not going to have health insurance. And then I don't see how the healthcare industry makes money, because if I'm uninsured, I get
I said that insurance companies. I didn't say all of healthcare. All of healthcare, that's a different deal.
Okay, the insurance companies, how would they make money?
The insurance companies are good because they have a constant flow of premium.
So check this out. Wait a minute.
All right. So, who's going to pay their insurance premium?
So wait a minute. So let me go on record here. It's 6:43 tonight.
But the whole show's
I'm
on
gonna
record,
agree
Richard.
with Juice a second time. But listen to how I agree with him.
That's cool.
He
Write
He
this
thinking that
down.
somebody's going to lose money. See, what's going to happen is, 6:43. Thank you.
Gotcha.
February 18th, 2026. What's going to happen long term? Because I'm thinking long term. If all these people lose their health care, the companies start to lose money. When all this happens long term, and a Democrat gets back in office, there's going to be a strong pendulum if you can get control of both houses, the Democratic Party, and push us back the other way. And what will happen long term down the road is you'll have a world government where healthcare will be managed and everything will be paid for. And if you're the insurance company that has a contract with the world government, if you're that billionaire and you're friends with Bill Gates, who's another billionaire who has all the other land bought up and the food bought up, because there ain't no jobs because AI is taking all the jobs. Now, long term, you can really, really put some structure and stronger foundation behind your world government long term. So this is the short term.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a movement of control. It's bleeding America of its monies, right? Of any financial prosperity that the middle class would have had, because the middle class is actually the issue for politicians. The middle class is the issue for politicians. So if you can begin to not only provide fear, but also control health, you can control the masses by a few. Then you are able to begin to, and this is my conspiracy theories, right? Because now you can begin to pick and choose who's going to live and who's going to die, because you control that at the top.
Ooh.
You control all of that. Death pays, right? So they're doing nothing more, nothing less than what arms dealers do. Who do arms dealers sell to during war?
Both
They
sides.
sell to everybody.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Everybody.
that
They
analogy
win.
makes sense. But break down the death pays part in this analogy where healthcare costs more
Sure.
money and people are exiting healthcare and people will exit life insurance because they don't have the money to pay. So how does
Yeah.
death?
So I'll give a quick example. Generally speaking, how many people have a trust? Let's just talk about our culture. How many people
I'm
have
gonna-
a trust?
Not yet.
You know, unfortunately, all the ones I know that have it are not part of our culture.
It's not many of us, right? Not many of us have a trust.
And please specify, because they're running all these ads on Facebook, on Instagram towards minorities about living trusts.
Mhm.
Living trusts are okay,
But
if
that's
you
not what's
like-
going to keep your stuff.
That's correct.
But I'm glad you said that, because I think we can come back and do it. Because you do trust too, don't you, Lynn?
I help people set up and figure out the type of trust that works best for them. The truth of the matter is, most people don't need a trust.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So when I see those ads I'm like, here we go. And then people think that a trust is a checking account, and I get $1 million policy, and now I have $1 million. It's a whole convolution of miseducation. But you get to a certain level financially where you need a trust. Now, let me give you a non-financial way is situation. Second marriage, kids in the first marriage. Now, the second marriage spouse will say she loves your kids, do anything for them, but then you pass away first, and now all of a sudden, it's a problem. So the way the husband, I'm just using the husband as an example, it works both ways, but the way the husband protects his children from the first marriage is he establishes a trust. Now, most trusts are not funded. There's no money in them. The money's going to come at a death.
That sounds like okay.
So what happens is now, you know,
Funded.
the spouse, you know, the husband dies first. The spouse is going to get all their community stuff, right? And this depends on states, of course. I don't want to get too deep into the legal stuff. But the point is, if he wants or she wants to protect the children from the previous marriage, you have a life insurance policy, and the beneficiary of that policy is the trust. So then when that person dies, the children get their money from the trust, which is now funded with life insurance. Make sense?
And
Go ahead, Rich. Go ahead.
and I forgot this. So my uncle, I had an uncle who recently passed, and he had talked to me about this. And the only thing he had listened to me about was he established a trust for all of his assets. Now, once you establish a trust, and his was a living trust, so you avoid the probate court. There's no court situation. And then whoever's in the trust, the beneficiary gets the stuff listed in the trust. But the funny thing about the trust, no one else can see it. Only the beneficiaries of the trust and the trustee,
Right.
or the executor of the trust. Now, that's how he laid it out. So when you said, not many black folks have trust, you know what? Ironically, I have an auntie that has a trust.
Yeah.
Ironically, both of these individuals, uncle who passed and my auntie, California. Ironically, because they left the South, they went out west, they interacted with people.
Were they interacting with Caucasians?
Huh?
Were they interacting with Caucasians? Or white folks? Who hooked them up? who got them straight, Richard? When it was because I got educated by Richard. I had them all in one group.
Okay.
But Richard hooked me up. Now I got
They
silos.
were interacting with Americans.
Well
played.
Because Americans in LA can be any color.
Oh yeah.
And my auntie, when she put her and her husband put their homes and stuff in the trust, they were coming across a lot of different people. So I don't know who she talked to, but I specifically told my uncle when he lived in San Diego, you have too much wealth.
Right.
And
you know what's a big influence? What's a big influence on that Los Angeles is Hollywood. Because we get to see. Because another thing people don't realize is wills are public knowledge.
Oh man, you beat me to the next point.
Your will is out there for anybody in the streets to go take a look at. But a trust is not. So if you want to keep your stuff secret, and a trust is a great way to control your money even from the grave.
Yeah.
You can have stuff in there like Richard got to graduate from college.
Yeah.
He's got to get married.
It's detailed.
Jay Glass got to have a baby. Got to give me a grant. Got to create another generation in order, because these are what are called triggers.
Yeah.
Hey,
trust.
And you know what?
And I've helped people set up. I'll leave you with this one. Here's one. Imagine this: a W-2 trust. That's not what it's. That's not the legal, but that's what the nickname we give it. Here's how it works. You have to bring a W-2 to the trust.
Right.
And that trust will match your W-2. You still a trust fund, baby, but now you have the. So if you bring $100,000 W-2 to the trustee, he gonna give you, or she gonna give you another $100,000.
Yeah.
That way, you're making sure that your kids are working.
Yeah.
Because if they come to the trust with a $5,000 W-2,
that's what you're gonna get.
That's what the trust is gonna pay.
But here's the funny thing about this.
When
we're talking about the internet and social media, they're gonna throw so much at you, but you have to figure out where they're right and where they're off. It wasn't until a few years ago they started talking about these trusts, whether they're irrevocable or living trusts, and how setting up an LLC and a holding company, and how the powerful people have done this in the past. They're not wrong, but they're not telling you every detail to where you can set it up perfectly right because you don't have access to that type of brilliant lawyer.
Right.
But
Yeah. So all
not
that stuff
telling
that you're seeing on the internet is missing vital detail. Vital detail. So
I agree with Lynn. So that's the
you
second
do-
time tonight. So
What you need to do is hire a professional lawyer, CPA, investments, insurance, because that person is licensed, and giving you bad information knowingly puts their license in jeopardy. And I'm not trying to lose my license.
I would say
over any nonsense.
just like we have our opinions about this healthcare situation, about the subsidies and all that. I would say this: there's 100 lawyers out there, all claim that they have the knowledge to give you on how to win. They all don't.
No, they don't.
So a person can be a lawyer and you can still lose. You have to be able to have the discernment.
Yeah.
It's no different if you go out here and kill somebody. Well, do you want this lawyer here, or do you want to go and see if you can resurrect Johnny Cochran from the grave and let him represent you?
Right.
You have to really pick and choose.
Hey, do you guys know the difference between a lawyer and an attorney?
No.
One's practicing and one's not.
An attorney has passed the bar.
Okay.
What?
Yeah. A lawyer, to be a lawyer, you just got to get your JD, your Juris Doctorate.
But you're not really called a lawyer with a JD unless you pass the bar.
Huh?
I don't think you really.
No, you're a lawyer. You're not an attorney at law.
Oh, okay.
Bar gives you
Or Esquire.
attorney at law.
Gotcha.
Huh.
And I learned this one just this week. The difference between a reverend and a pastor.
Pastor.
What is it?
A reverend has a.
My wife chiming in, and she is absolutely correct. A pastor has a church, and a reverend does not. So you have Reverend Al Sharpton, who can go to your church on Sundays and preach, but he don't have his own church.
It's not a, wow.
I just want to
Well,
remind
if Stephanie said it, then I know it's true.
Ah, okay.
I
So I know how to win all my arguments now, right?
Yeah.
He said, blase, and I'm
I am an ordained reverend. I just want to throw that out there. That's why I was doing marriages not too long ago. So
and just like a reverend that catches passion on the pulpit, you sure pivoted away from my question on how these companies make money off of debt.
I was waiting. Listen. This the
Wait, no,
only
what?
place
You want to pivot, sir? What are you waiting on? Your own pivot?
I'm not pivoting. The reason why we got off on this free game about trust and wills and all that other stuff is because I was waiting. I was waiting because that's something that people need to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Deuce is right. I think Deuce. Look, Lynn and Deuce are both right on this. I think they're both right on this.
I'm writing that down too.
And that's why I can't disagree with. I just can't because Deuce is looking at this. If people can't afford to pay, then somebody's getting ready to lose out.
Let me go down my conspiracy trail, right? So we know that a lot of us already don't have trusts. A lot of us also don't have a will. Where do your assets go if you pass without anything, leaving any of your assets to anybody? Who does it go to? Or better yet, here's a better question. What has happened to our real estate market within the last year since Trump's been in office?
Oh my goodness. So you're going to say that the real estate market, the housing prices have not really gone up and they haven't really been selling homes, but yet somebody is buying up a lot of land, possibly a billionaire or two are buying up a lot of land, and they also want to buy up a lot of federal land that's not being talked about for some unknown reason. I don't know if that's...
Let's say I pass, right? And I don't have all of my ducks in a row for this to go my stuff to go to my kids. So now the house ends up on the market. Who do you think is going to be the first to swoop in to get it? Especially if people can't even afford basic health insurance, how many people do you think are going to be lining up to buy a house?
So Dolores Robinson is right. If you don't have a will, your stuff should go to probate court, and the court will decide who gets your stuff if they put it up for auction.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm not disregarding that. However, you go through the probate process, there's still a mortgage on the house.
Yep.
There's still a mortgage. Somebody still has to pay a note on this house.
Can I comment on that piece?
Yeah.
This happened. So my sister-in-law, her brother died, had a house, going through probate. A lot of things they had to verify. She's the sister, verify connection, all this stuff. The mortgage company still like, run me my money.
Yeah.
So her and my brother had to not assume the mortgage, but make the payments. And this in Birmingham is notoriously slow. This went on for 10 months.
Yes.
10 months before the state finally took over. But going back around, man, I think this is a rarity, I would say, and I hate to say this, right? I don't know Brooke's situation, but the four of us, we own houses, right? I don't think that's a common thing across working class Black America. If you're talking, I'll expand it to working class America, period.
Okay.
There are more renters than owners, no matter the race.
Agreed.
So in your scenario, I don't think that plays out. And that's the group of people.
This is why that plays out, right? Because I just read to you where what we now know as the middle class, right? They are going to be spending a ton of money just for health insurance if they decide to opt into it. Their children can't afford the type of house that they own. They wouldn't be able to afford the mortgage on it. People are struggling. People are losing jobs at this point. And then you couple in insurance, health insurance with that. Everything's going up. So we're having not just middle class people who are actually going to be passing along sooner because they can't get the actual medical attention they need, but now their families can't even afford the asset that they maintain for 15, 25, 30 plus years that they may not have paid off because they've had to go back and refinance, they've had to take out a HELOC, they've had to do a bunch of different things in order to maintain it because they're struggling themselves. The first people that I see jumping into at least the real estate game to buy it up are the ones who are doing it now. It's a funnel game. It's all a funnel game, squeezing them from the top so you can catch them at the bottom.
I hear what you're saying, man, but that's not the group of people I'm talking about. I think and I could be completely wrong based on this off of gut. The people you're talking about still connected to home ownership, some type of asset.
Sure.
I'm talking about the group outside of that. I think the non-home owners are bigger. Yeah, the renters. Well, I can't because I'm a renter, but I still own. People who don't own a home. That whole category. I think that's a larger subset of Americans, right? So I'm talking about that part of people. How is death beneficial to the insurance companies if they opted out of paying insurance, they can't afford life insurance, don't have a house?
Do the businesses they work for that they're making $25,000 a year for? Do they have insurance on them?
I don't know.
Oh, I'll say this, my guys. So when I worked for Morgan Stanley, they had insurance on us.
Yeah.
Right?
Life insurance?
Anything crazy. Yeah. Like health insurance on us. And life insurance on us. Make sure that like something happens to us, like as the director of private markets for Morgan Stanley, they CYA, for lack of a better word. I'm trying to say it. What do you call it? Politically correctly. And so that was great. It really worked well for me because like I went to any hospital or I'm a Kaiser guy. So I was like, all right, good, cool. I can go anything. I can get my like eyes checked because I wear contacts, do my dental, make sure, teeth cleaning if I need, whatever. Right. I remember I had a hernia surgery, easily taken care of. I spent $10 to have that covered. Right. And then like, am I ever going to be able to like buy a house here in California even though I was doing that well there? No, I still rent right now in Sunnyvale at $3,400 a month for a 1-bedroom, even though it's a sweet 1-bedroom. And like, it's expensive. I cannot buy a house. I don't even think, unless I really blow it out of the park, that I will ever be able to buy a house here. And I am, I just had my birthday 10 days ago on the
Happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday.
Like, I don't think I'll be able to like buy a house unless I really just blow it out of the park and just make a crap load of money, frankly. And don't get me wrong, I'm going for it. But I would like to set my life in a way where I'm able to do that, right? But like, I grew up in the Midwest, Ohio, like you have your rent of like $400 was like expensive back in the day, and you got it like a driveway. I didn't even have a car then, but like you had like a 1-bedroom, not a driveway. I got a car parking spot for $3,400 a month. So like it's just different. It's just not really in the same ballpark of like conversation. Like you guys are all like elite, and I respect that. And like what you've done for your lives, and not. I come from a generation where it's like, damn, like I hear what you guys are talking about. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I would be able to like have that, because I don't have any family here, except for Little Lodge. They're family. Like my love, and like, but it's not the same if you don't have family here. It's just not. Like, it's just different.
But you know what, Mr. Brooks?
Yes, sir.
I lived in San Jose for 2 years, and I lived in a little studio back in 2009 through the middle of 2011 off of Monterey Highway in Roder. And you're right, the home prices in Santa Clara County are outrageous.
Yeah.
And what I noticed people were doing, because they do it here in Sacramento, they go down in San Francisco and make all those high wages, and they jump on the train and come out to Sacramento and live for cheap, and drive up the price of homes out here as well. So in the Santa Clara County area, a lot of people wouldn't live in Sunnyvale or San Jose unless the homes were passed down through them to their families. They would go live in Gilroy or on the outskirts somewhere and have to drive 2 or 3 hours to work every day.
Tracy.
Right. You're right. Like after grad school, I lived in San Jose in some cheap ass apartment. I moved to Gilroy because it's the only place I could afford, and I worked at Oracle at the time. So I used to drive 2 hours each day, every day and when like holiday hit, like then you were talking about like a 3-hour commute one way. Like, and now that after that was Morgan Stanley, it was great, but that was in San Francisco. But then when the pandemic hit, and so like, oh, now you got to work from home. Okay, great. So then like, that was freaking awesome, actually. No joke, no side. Sadly for the pandemic, but like, I got to travel to all the national parks because we didn't have to go to the office. I used to work from like Palm Springs. We just drive down there, or like talking Oregon, or like just go to visit a national park, or a lodge brother of mine, or like Bryce Canyon, Grand Tetons, Yellowstone, like, and just travel like over and over again, still work. But like, that was the easiest thing, like, and now that like, that's the nonsense is over, thank God. Now I'm in Sunnyvale. It's expensive as all hell to have to go into the office in San Jose and like just work because it's wild.
Right.
So
I don't want you to give up on the idea of a person of your education making that type of salary to believe in your heart that you cannot be a homeowner in this great country. That's it.
I don't see that like it's possible, bro. Like no offense, like and I respect what you're saying, but like I have to like have like something exceptional.
Yeah, so you'd have
And
to,
I mean like exceptional.
in order to buy a house in that area, right? Let's just call it Mountain View, right? You'd have to make between 250 and 300 grand because you've got to qualify, and
Probably
that's
more,
bottom
bro.
line.
Probably more.
Well, that's I'm not
Yeah,
talking about anything
that's like
luxurious.
the minimum.
I'm not talking about you're going to be living near downtown Mountain View, right? That's bottom line. That's base. Because houses, when I was there, were starting at 2.4, 2.5 million. Just throwing that out there. So, let me state this healthcare thing in this fashion. Dr. Cornel West said it was a prophetic message he put in one of his books, and he said what's going to happen and what's happening in America is a vast niggerization, right? We are beginning to come closer and tighter to the financial slavery that puts us in binds and keeps them richer but makes everybody else poorer than what we think. President Trump has made $1.4 billion in the last year. That's just him. I'm not talking about Zuckerberg. I'm not talking about Musk. I'm not talking about Buddy from Amazon. I'm not talking about those fellas. I'm just talking about the president himself. $1.4 billion. The average American's take-home money has decreased drastically. And now, with the enhancements being gone, that's more money out of their pockets. None of this is going to work out for the middle class or the working poor, is what I've actually begun to call us. Well, I don't work no more, but you know what I mean, right? So with that being said, the only people that this either side actually profits from are the people who own everything. They have to own your life. They have to own your life. That's why death pays. That's why they're buying everything. That's why they're moving in the fashion that they're doing things in. But again, this is just my conspiracy. So let me go back and share this part of the article also.
Before we do that, can I say something, my bro?
Yeah.
I look at it like this. When I talk to my stepdad, I call him my dad. I love him. He's awesome. And he asked me, he's like, hey, how much do you actually really make per year? When I say to him, $100,000, he's like, he's from Ohio. He's been in Ohio all his life. He's freaking awesome. He's really taught me to be the man I am. Like, that's not a number that's like, I guess, the best way to say it is like, that's a big number in Ohio, where I grew up, right? It's a massive number. Here, it doesn't mean dog crap. It just doesn't. And like you're like, oh, like when I talk to my mom, and like, you can't. If I make right now what I make, and I'm living in Ohio, it changes the game. It changes really the world for me. And it could transform my family into like my family. I mean, like me and my dog and my love, like just makes a difference. Here it's just like I have to do more. I have to make like probably like 400K to equal normal here. Have to. Then I can buy a house. Then I can have a car that I'm not worried about the payments on. Or then I can like travel to where I want to go and travel. You know what? I can go visit different lodges. I can go to different countries.
My brother, you got to get out of California. Okay. You got to get out of California. But let me read this part of the article, and then we're going to push on to address Dolores's question, because that's going to push us just a little bit forward. I can't be on too much longer, but it'll be a cliffhanger for next week. Subsidy cliff affects households with incomes above 400% of federal poverty level. Mm-hmm. That's because $85,000 for a household of two is 402% of the 2025 federal poverty level. And the ACA, a so-called, ACA has a so-called cliff where marketplace subsidy eligibility ends abruptly if an enrollee's household income is more than 400% of the previous year's FPL. That's how it worked from 2014 to 2020. When subsidies weren't available to these enrollees, regardless of how expensive their coverage was. The subsidy eligibility limit was temporarily lifted from 2021 to 2025 due to the America Rescue Plan and Inflation Reduction Act, but it remained in 26 because the ARP and IRA subsidy enhancements were not extended by Congress. There's an illustration on this table that talks about this.
So wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
Everybody on here, he's talking fast. So that 402%. So anybody, I guess, at the 2025 federal poverty level, if you make $21,144, that's the federal poverty line, and then 402% times that is 85,000.
Right. So when I was saying 20, if you make 25,000 a year, you don't qualify for any of that stuff, but you still don't make. You're not making any money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the working poor, like Jay Glass said.
Yeah, we're the working poor.
Well, just in case somebody was wondering what the poverty line, the federal poverty line.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I thought the poverty line for 25 was 15,000 from the article I read, but then when I did these numbers, and now it's at 21,000 for the federal.
21,000 is a poverty line. That's insane, man.
That's another. Yeah. Again, I'm agreeing with Lynn and Deuce tonight. So we have a problem.
We
have a problem.
We ain't doing this no more.
Yeah.
I'm
we all agree there's something terribly, terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so these numbers, this table illustrates the difference in cost, percentage increase in premium.
Dolores
Right.
can't hear Jay Glass.
Uh-oh.
Oh, she's asking the website.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it. So in Alaska, age of 45, right? 2025 lowest cost plan monthly premium with enhanced subsidies was $111. 2026 lowest cost plan monthly premium without enhanced subsidy is $769, which is a 593% increase. 55, it was $9 in 2025. It jumps up to $1,188, 13,100% increase. That's Alaska.
What's Texas? What's a big red state? Or is that not on there? That's not on.
I don't think it's going to be on here because they didn't. I don't know.
Mississippi. What's MS? Mississippi's a red state.
Yeah. 45, 401 in 2025, 686, 71% increase. 55, 376, 2025, 1,060, 2026, 182% increase. You go to 64, it's worse. 452, 1,004.
Right. So guess what? 64 is going to roll the dice.
Yep.
And get to 65, and then get Medicare.
So
let's acknowledge this point too. Mississippi, if it's not it's one of the poorest states.
It's the poor state. Yeah. But here's the catch to this, though. All these red states are not going to swing blue.
No.
At least we don't think so.
Mississippi won't.
So in the midterms, who cares about the rates going up if those same people continue to vote for Republicans? You would think it would be enough to swing some congressional seats back to the Democratic Party.
Actually, Rich, I don't know. I think that's why. I think there is some fear in the water. There's some blood in the water because that's why they're talking about federalizing voting only in blue states.
But listen, as much as we talk about this and people say, "Oh, you guys are just fear mongering," we're going to find out this November if these 18 days, if the way ICE is trying to enforce border illegal immigration, we're going to find out on those two issues, and maybe with the Epstein, I don't know, if they're big enough to cause the House and and the Senate to be flipped back to the Democrats? We're going to find out.
Can I ask a real question that you guys will just answer yes or no?
Of course.
Like, so I'm under the impression, and I'll just put it on record. Like, so voting ID. I'm from Ohio. Everything that like I do in life, I have to have my ID. Again, I just had my birthday. As a matter of fact, my driver's license expired on my birthday. So I did everything I could do online. And then I still had to go to the DMV, which sucks balls. Everybody knows. Like, so G16 at window number 2, right? So I had to go take the eye test, and then I'm waiting for, take the picture again. And I don't understand why people are so mad about like actually like having to give your picture when you vote, because you have to do it when you drive.
It's a misnomer.
Say again?
It's a misnomer.
What do you mean? What do you mean, bro?
So every state has to have some form of verifying who you are. Literally
Right.
every state, and it's done in multiple different ways. For hardline states, they use the actual photo ID. For some red states,
So then what other ID would you do then?
yeah. So for other states who don't want to use the actual picture ID, you have to have registered. Then with that registration comes multiple different forms of actually identifying who you are before you can vote. In other states,
Wait,
you have
wait.
to
You're saying that you could use like your what?
Hand me
Social
the
Security
voter
card?
registration card out the bag.
say again?
I'm not sure what you're actually saying.
Okay. I don't have my
I'm about to get one. I'm about to get one in a second. I'm
Yeah,
about to get one
because
in a second.
I pulled this up a couple of days ago because we had a subscriber on here who asked that question. So I went and started reading,
Yes.
and then I found out that voter ID is a thing. It's just done in different fashions.
I'll look up California.
There are some
Yeah,
states.
so this is a voter registration card that you get in Texas.
Mhm.
Okay.
No picture. Some places this is enough.
Yeah.
I always take my government ID, so it's less hassle. But this is what he's talking about.
Right, but you can't bring that card, just that random card with no picture, and be like,
Yeah.
"Yep, I am
Yeah.
good to go."
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna have to go. You're gonna have to jump through a couple more hurdles with just this. But yeah, you can vote with just this.
Yeah.
That's why they send it to you.
So in other states, I believe I want to say Illinois was one of these states. I could be wrong, Zoe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you have to sign an affidavit acknowledging who you are, and that affidavit that you sign carries federal prison time if, when they go back and validate and verify who you were, it's found out that you were misrepresenting who you were. So there is voter ID, right? And it's done differently. People are more comfortable with saying, oh, well, you have to go to a state, which is weird, right? Because you're talking about going to a state entity so that you can vote in the federal system.
Right.
Those are two different things. But
It doesn't make sense.
but the federal government does not control voting for a reason. That belongs to the states, and it's written in the Constitution in multiple different amendments in several
Sure.
different ways. So do I agree with actually having to have a picture ID? I'm not opposed to it. But it's up to the state.
Can I?
It's up
Let
to
me-
the state.
my take on it. I'm with you. I'm not opposed to it. In fact, that's not even my issue at all. Brooks, I got a question for you. How long did
Yes,
it
sir.
take you? How long did it take you to renew your ID when you went to the DMV?
Oh, so I when I did it online, it took me like about an hour, and then I was so disappointed, guys, because I was like stupidly thinking like, oh shit, I can do this online. The hell yeah, I'm all excited, right? So then I did everything. I took the little test that they had, and they're like at the end of it, it was like 45 minutes to an hour. They were like, go to your local DMV. And I was like, oh no, because then I still had to do the eye test, and then I had to do the picture again, right? I just turned 48, And like, and I was so excited that like to think for like a moment that I didn't have to actually like go to the DMV. And like, so, like I sat there again, G6 at window number 20, like for like an hour again, and then like boom, it was real quick there at the DMV. It was another hour and a half for sure.
So
like,
hey,
but not
right, Mr. Brooks.
Hold on, Richard. Before you, let me wrap up my point here.
Okay.
Two things with that, right? One, it takes time to go. You got to take off of work because the DMV, most of them have on the weekends. And then you think about 1 in 4 Americans live. What is it? 1 in 4 Americans live either in or near the poverty line. So 200% of the number that Rich talked about earlier. 2 times that number. Was it 21,000?
25.
21,000.
21.
Yeah.
So 1 in 4 Americans live at that or within, 2 times, 40,000 or less. They can't afford to take off to go to the DMV. So that's my issue. I wish it was like what you said, Brooks. I wish it was more online. I don't know how the verification process would work. That's not on
right.
me.
Like, no,
I wish it was
totally
more online to make it
exactly
easier.
what you're saying. I think like I thought. Matter of fact, like because I was older now, I'm like, I always kept my IDs to show progress. Like, especially in California, I just always wanted to. I always have my old California IDs just to see. Like, I don't know why, but I did. And like, I was like, all right, sweet. Like it went from 4 years to 5 years to like actual replace your ID. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but like it did. And I looked at it. I pulled up my 2008 ID to 2012, then the 2000, like all of them. And I was like, oh, wow. Like one, I saw they got older. Well, but like, I was like, I just thought it would be easier by now. Like, just easier by now. And then it was easier in the sense of like, okay, I took the test online. Boom, knocked it out. Yada, yada. They have a great AI test kind of thing that's going on right now. Beautiful. And I did it. And then like, I didn't think that like, because when I have my iContacts 1-800-contacts, I do my iContacts online. So I thought they were gonna like do something like that to get my contacts, right? They thought that was gonna do like that for the DMV, but they don't. And then you still have to go and read the iChart, A3, A2, A5, whatever.
So
you still have to do that.
Let me pause. Let me pause.
Go
And
to the
place real
DMV,
quick.
and then you still have to go and then to the line. Okay.
Let me pause you in place real quick, Brooks. Lynn, what's your take on the voter ID?
This is what I've been subjected to for the last 21 years. So look, I am all about figuring out the game and finding out what the rules of the game and then making the decision if I want to play. And like I said, I don't know if Deuce or Brooks were on here, but I remember saying a couple of weeks ago, just to think about people in your circle in your life that don't have ID. And that would be a struggle. So for me, it's not, are there people, not just Black people, but I would say all walks of people that don't have a government ID? Yes. But that's the exception. It's not the rule. And it's so funny that a lot of the people that don't have ID don't want to vote anyway, which is crazy. So, if you want to vote, and Richard said this earlier, what you care about gets done. If you want to vote, you will do what it takes for you to vote. Our ancestors wanted to vote. They walked miles. They took a test at the polls. They got beat down. They got murdered for casting their vote. But they did that because that's what they cared about doing. For me, the people that are complaining about the hurdles that you have to jump over to vote don't want to vote. Because stuff that you want to do, you don't complain about it.
Yeah.
You just do it.
You're right about that.
The girl at the club say, I want Yeah.
a Cosmopolitan, or I
I
want
agree
a
with that.
Lemon
Like,
Cup,
so-
or I want a whatever, for you to continue this conversation. If you want to continue that conversation, guess what you're going to do?
You're gonna go get it.
You're going to buy a drink. If you don't want to continue the conversation,
So like, I look at like the real
you get the
ID.
hell on.
So I watched 3 people, 3 families get turned down from going. I was flying for my job from San Jose to Burbank because they didn't have the real ID. They're like, no, can't fly.
And that's not a thing.
Gotta get
Look,
the real
if you
ID.
go to the airport
Gotta
without
do
a
it.
real ID, guess what you have to do?
Passport.
No, you don't have it. You don't
I
have
a
it.
passport.
I was
No.
being silly. I was being
You
silly.
pay the TSA
Yeah.
$45.
Huh?
Yes, that's the thing. Another money grab. So
Yeah.
you can fly without a star on your license. You just got to pay like you got another bag. You just got to pay when you get to the airport. Or if you know that you don't have it, you can go online and pay and print and present at the airport. But that money is a TSA payment.
Wow.
So you can fly. Once again, if you want to fly, you can fly. And when they were doing the real ID thing, they made it sound like the only way to get on the airplane was real ID.
Yeah.
Like passports didn't even exist anymore. I'm like, why is nobody saying the P word? Because Richard and I was talking about passport bros, right?
Mm.
They got ID.
Wait a minute.
No
Rich,
passport
you a
bros got
passport bro?
ID.
Hold on a
Are
second.
we gonna erase our record?
You know-
Are we about to erase our record?
No, because hold on. This is kind of tricky. You can go to the airport and not show a real ID. Let's show your passport, and that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you
No
don't have a
military
passport
ID.
and all you have is your regular license without the star,
Yes, you're-
you got to pay $45.
Or
But
If you
I
retired
didn't
have
know
a
about that.
passport
I
and
didn't know
you
about
just
that.
show your regular ID,
I didn't know that
you're
either.
done.
So before
I
Every
didn't
before
single
we
time, but you can pay if you don't have a star on your license. You can go online and pay $45. The same way you pay your bag fees.
And what
When
what
you
link
check
is
in
this
online.
at? What is this at the TSA link?
Yeah, because it's a payment. You're paying this to the TSA, the $45,
Wow.
because you're putting them through extra work by not having a real ID.
Yeah.
That's the thought
But what
process.
I saw is that like they rejected the person. Like they're like, no, you didn't get your real ID, and because of February 1st, it was the rule, right? And then like, the real ID has like the golden bear and the star, and like they were like,
Y'all
no,
got a golden
you
bear
don't
on
have your real
in,
ID,
California.
you don't have a passport.
So before we go too
And then,
far
like
from the
they were
tangent,
done. They were like they would not let them on the plane.
I don't want to go too far down the plane lane because I want Rich to be able to answer that question also about having voter ID.
Go ahead, Rich. Give it to
So,
him.
for the state of California, I want to go back and look at this for a second. You can vote in California. Here, let me go to this. As long, wait a minute. Let me go to the voting thing. Oh boy, I just had it. You can vote in, it says, I'm at the U.S. Vote Foundation. If you believe this website, it looks authentic. It says voter registration. To register to vote in California, you should provide, it says you should. Okay. California driver's license or state non-driver ID number, the last 4 digits of your social security number. If you're registered to vote for the first time by mail, you need to provide a copy of a valid ID. Acceptable forms of ID include a valid photo ID, bank statement, government check, paycheck, government issued ID that shows your current name and address.
I'm
Then it says voting in person. If you registered to vote in California, it says you may be required, to present a valid photo ID if you're voting for the first time or your registration is incomplete. So you can use a passport or any type of insurance ID card, public housing ID. It has this long list of things about voting in person for the first time. You may be required. It doesn't say you will be required. It says may. So if there's any lawyers listening, they can tell me what may and shall and should, what it means in this legal
Rich,
context.
that's going to depend on the person that you encounter at the polls.
That's what I think too, but we're not lawyers. Just in case.
What I'm saying is lawyers don't even factor into it. It's going to depend on the person you encounter at
That's
your
how
poll.
you or I are reading this, but if it has a stronger legal requirement or such, where a person who's watching this podcast is a lawyer and you and I are interpreting this straight English incorrectly, just in case. I'm just saying just in case.
So
Just in
y'all
case.
do know that when you go to register, your name is looked up.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. That gets me to the next point. I keep talking about this driver's license. So what does it take for a person to get a driver's license in California?
Thank you.
Allegedly, if I'm looking at the correct site, this is a aceable.com. If you trust this site, it says
Out.com.
you got to show your birth certificate, passport, military, U.S. Armed Forces identification card, naturalization certificate, certificate of U.S. citizenship, permanent resident card, passport from another country with a valid U.S. visa and an I-94 form to get a driver's license. And then it also says you need to provide a valid social security number for your driver's license application.
Simpler if you're not a military person.
Say again.
Right. So it's not all those things. It's not. I'll tell you, Richard. When I got my license,
a military
in Texas,
person, we're talking about
first
regular
time,
people.
Right. So I told you all the different things you could do. Here are some
Right.
examples of acceptable documents.
Right.
Go ahead, man.
But you don't need them all.
Right,
My
correct.
college
correct.
transcript was on there, so
No.
I slid that in Texas. I slid that
Texas.
under the window, and this is
Okay.
what I'm talking about. The woman at the DMV laughed at me. She said, "Why are you giving me your college grades?" I said, "Because that's what it said on the website." And she said, "Dear young man," and gave it back to me and got her laugh for the day, and just said, "I just need this and this." She just took two things from that long laundry list. So some people will go with all those things like I did because I was coming here from Virginia. So I didn't know how Texas got down. But
So I want to read something else though about getting this driver's license
Mhm.
in the state of California, and I know this is something new after 9/11. You will need to provide a valid social security number for your driver's license application for the California DMV. It didn't say your valid social security number. It says you need to provide a valid. Huh?
You saying a valid instead of your valid?
I'm telling you, I'm reading this exactly what it says. You need to provide. Oh, I'm sorry. You need to provide your. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
All right.
Your valid social security number from the driver's license for your driver's license application at the
So did they
California
want a
DMV.
card or your word, or they took your word for it?
You need to provide a valid. They want to see the card.
Gotcha.
So when
You
I
will
was
need
in
to bring a
California,
physical proof. You will need to bring physical proof. And what they're really saying is, by you bringing physical proof of your social security number, I believe they verify that with the social security.
they do.
And that's been after 9/11.
Yeah, because
They
I
weren't
still
doing
have
that before.
California driver's license, and when I went to the DMV, because I didn't want to have to go to Texas, when I went to the DMV, they asked me for my social security card, although I showed them my military ID. And fortunately, at the time, I kept my card on me. That's a whole nother story for another time. And so I was like, oh, okay, but well, here you go. And they verified it. So
Well, what I'm saying is,
go ahead.
What I'm saying is, because I've said that people before in the past have voted in California who should not have voted, because once they got their driver's license, they're automatically sent a voter's registration. But I guess they provided enough documentation to prove that they were able to vote in the country.
So there's also a difference, right? Because some people can vote at the state level, but they can't vote for federal. So there is a difference. You can vote, or not state. Let me rewind that. You can vote in local election, but you can't vote in federal.
That's not what I'm seeing for California.
No, I got it. But if you go to a poll and you're not an actual citizen, there are certain things that's why you have to, they verify you. That's why I'm saying there is a lot of this stuff that's coming out about voter ID, it's nothing more, nothing less than another fear tactic, right?
because it's already being done.
Yeah, it's already being done. And I once I started, and it took me, I read for 2 straight days about everything that's happening with voter verification and validation, and I was like, holy crap! All these folks are getting up in arms about having to have a picture on another card instead of actually going out, taking some time and actually doing some reading to actually sit back and say, oh damn, this is why they're saying that we actually do have secure voting, because people are looking and verifying and validating that you are who you say you are, and if you aren't, and it's found out, you're going to jail.
That's the easy one. That's free labor.
Yeah, there's no left or right parameters on that. That's literally the black and white of it. That's literally matter of fact, we've seen it happen, and it happened to Republicans who were voting for Trump. There was a woman, I can't remember what state, who was a Republican, and she went to vote for Trump, and then she went to another state.
Hold on.
And she did it again.
Wait a minute. Hold on, y'all. Hold on a second. Somebody, this is why I was careful what I was saying, Lynn. Somebody has sent me a text. Let me tell you what they said, because they had more dollars than both of us. California also has an AB 60 law, which allows people from Mexico, matricular cards, and Mexico passports and other country passports to obtain a license without a social security number. So if you can obtain a driver's license, they're sending you a voter's registration in the mail. So this is what I was saying a long time ago. So
playing.
They may not, but they may not. They also may not if you're getting it. See, once again, here we are, Richard, with the exception.
No.
That's an exception.
No, hold on, Mr. Lynn. Hold on, Mr. Medeiros.
That's an exception.
Hold on, Mr. Medeiros. Hold on, fellow Gemini, older Gemini. Hold on now. This is somebody who's not politically connected, who works inside DMV, and he's telling me what the law is. So I can't question him on this. This is his daily job every single day.
Listen, I'm not questioning any law. All I know is that there are rules and there are exceptions. Just like somebody could sit up and read you the real ID law, and nobody here knew about the $45 but me.
This is different. This is different.
I know. Everything is different. It's always different.
So I'm reading up on this.
You know what? Hold on. Hold on. This is one of Lynn's techniques to get underneath my skin. He drives that exception.
Because that's what we obsess over. We obsess over the exception.
Lynn, for a person who tells me every time on the podcast we deal with facts, it is a fact in mathematics that in all the mathematical equations, even in geometry, there are exceptions to the rule.
Right. So, I'm not questioning that. I just called it what it was.
So
what that person brought up is an exception.
Actually,
so I would not be surprised.
The way I'm reading it is not an exception.
Don't get the kind of card that I just showed you.
It's not an exception, actually. Because I'm reading up on it.
Thank you,
both of you guys are correct.
Thank you.
So you get an ID.
Both of you guys are correct.
Both of you guys are correct. You get an ID, but it has markings on it like federal limits apply, et cetera, et cetera. So they can use it to vote. To what James was saying, state, local stuff, just like people who are not citizens can, but they cannot use that to vote for the president. Elections.
You can't vote for the president.
It doesn't allow them to drive. That's the only thing that really changes.
It. Right. So there are absolutely so again, when I was doing my digging, I noticed that there are absolutely safeguards in place. There absolutely are. And so a lot of the rhetoric that we're hearing, again, I'm not opposed to having a facial ID, but I'm saying that a lot of the things that we're hearing about voting and the SAVE Act is fear mongering. That's all it's doing.
You know what? Hold on. I don't think Mr. Brooks is completely incorrect. I just don't. I'm not saying
I think it's impossible for him to be totally
the point now.
Right. I don't think he's totally incorrect. What I am saying, however, is that it goes back to the point that people were making about our voting, that the amount of quote unquote voter fraud that has been seen was so negligible that it wouldn't have made a difference one way or another.
Oh, but it's
No,
a good
you know
talking
what?
point. It's a
Hold
good
on.
spin point. Because even what Rich brought up, if you
It's
said
like a very like inexcusable word. Like we know in our degrees, like that word is like accusing themselves and excusing one another. Like like you can't have it. You can't have it's voting for the president or whatever office it may be. You can't have it. You cannot.
As soon as we, first off, when we're talking about elections and we're talking about regardless of how it was done, we have something that we always got to take in consideration, and that's the human variable. The human variable has built in, we have a margin for error. So if you're doing physical ballot counting, there are going to be errors, right? If you are doing counting via electronic polls, there's probably going to be errors because you still have humans that might say, hey, I'm finna go to the bathroom. Oh, how did I end back in line? Right? I'm just trying to give the innocence, give an excuse for them. So there's always the human variable that always has that margin of error built in. No system is 100%.
But what you're
At
saying
all.
is the margin of error is so low that this whole idea of voter fraud is a scare tactic coming from the Republican Party, because we have not been able to truly measurably show a significant amount of voter fraud for the entire history of the U.S. elections.
And that's the thing. I'm not just saying that it's coming from the Republican Party. I think it's coming from the Democratic Party as well, because everybody's playing on extremes. Nobody's actually stating, hey, just calm down. Our voting system is good on a regular.
So then that's why you have put the most stringent on both sides. Be like, no, you bring your ID, make sure it's verified. I, Lee Brooks, get to bring my ID, show up, show my ID, bam. That's why you do it. Otherwise, like, screw the whole like variables on one side or variables on the other side, or like that's why you do it. Simple
I
as
hear
that.
your argument, Brooks. I hear your argument on that. I do.
I understand the argument, but because I don't trust the federal government, name one federal system that we use that you can trust in its entirety.
I don't trust the government either.
But we're willing to say that
I trust that they get their taxes out of me.
That's
never fair.
but dig, dude,
Right? Big brother
that's
will
not
get
even
your
100%.
taxes out of you.
But that's not even 100%, because there's a whole class of people that knows how to skirt past paying taxes.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah. That's true.
So again, we want to hand.
No, wait. No. They're not skirting. They're just using knowledge of a tax law. So they're not doing anything illegal.
And that's acceptable.
Yeah,
Also.
that's
So Deuce is still right again. Deuce is still right.
Hillary. That's literally what Trump said in his debate with Hillary. He's like, yeah, I used the tax law. And he embarrassed her because he said, yeah, because your friends do the same thing I do. And that's why you're not going after them. He destroyed her in the debate because of that.
Mr. Brooks, Mr. Brooks, hold on a second. Wait a minute. Mr. Brooks, on that particular point, Mr. Brooks,
Yeah.
You're 1,000% correct.
Yeah, I can agree on that particular point. Right. I'm not going to say for the entirety of the debate, but I will say on that particular point. But what I'm saying is what we're willing to do is entrust this administration to initiate this, right? One of our most sacred things that we do as a country, to elect our leaders, especially to a person who is already entertained just from the sheer entertainment of it. Oh yeah, I mean, a third term. I mean, some people say I can do it.
I like how he does that. That's slick.
Mr. Glass, I told you guys in 2029, he's walking, or he's leaving the White House one way or another. In January of 29.
Well, all I told you at that point was that's the hope.
No,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no hope. That's a guarantee.
Okay.
I
That's
hope
a
you're right. I
guarantee.
really do hope you're right.
Again,
That's a guarantee. We're a nation of laws. The country we were going to die for. This is a nation of laws, and normally, under normal circumstances, most of the time, we enforce the laws. Usually,
I like how you
equally.
said that. I like how you said that. I see where you came from with that. So again, so even let's take the SAVE Act, because we actually read the SAVE Act once before a while ago, and maybe that's something that we revisit in the near future. And I was watching a TikTok of all things. There was a young lady who is in Texas, and she said she went to vote early. Well, she got there, and of course, she was married, right, sister. And she said the clerk told her, "Well, your last name is different." And she said she came prepared, so she pulled out her passport. And the woman said, "Well, I don't think that's accepted. We need to see your driver's license." So she
Human
made
error.
TikTok as she was walking back to her vehicle to get her driver's license, but still making the point, I don't care what you try to throw at me. I understand what this game is, what game you're playing, like Lynn was saying. You're trying to discourage me from voting. So she said, I'm going to get my driver's license
Mhm.
and I'm going to back in here. But what I'm not going to do is leave this place without voting. And so with that, I'll start actually around the horn, because my youngest daughter pretty much put me on blast. She walked to her room so she can go to sleep, and rightfully so, right? But let me get to the screen. All right, so I'll start around the horn, right? I'll say this generally. I don't care who you vote for, ish. I understand what the polls are saying and where this administration, the president, is in the polls. What I'll say is he might have a stronghold on about 20-25% of Americans.
Read your.
But go vote. Do not allow anyone to disenfranchise you from voting. Don't allow them to do it. There is a game that's about to be played. There's a game that is about to be played. It's been structured. It's been pushed. The SAVE Act is a part of it. Healthcare is a part of it. All this other foolishness that's coming down is a part of what is about to be happening in order to prevent the midterms from happening. Mark my words on this. We're going to start seeing in the news, in my estimation, in my guesstimation, healthcare running back up real soon, because Americans are about to start feeling it in their pockets, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to swing back around to it, so that we can say, we talked about this. We talked about this, America. Why are you now surprised? And so with that, that's my around the horn. Who we got up next? Deuce? All right.
So I'm gonna piggyback off of that, man. Voting. To those people that say my vote's not important, to those people that say I don't care about voting because it's not going to be counted, going to never change it, et cetera, they wouldn't work so hard to silence your vote. And to what Glass is talking about, they wouldn't work so hard to make it so difficult to vote. You come with a passport. There's a high barrier to get a passport. I'm a freaking citizen, right? But whatever. They wouldn't work so hard to silence our vote if it was not important. If it wasn't important, they wouldn't talk about it. They wouldn't put committees together to try to find out ways to squash it, to make it difficult. They wouldn't do that. It wouldn't be important to them. They wouldn't care, right? Like they don't care about the potholes in your neighborhood. That's how they would treat it. But they don't. They treat it way more valuable than those potholes in your neighborhood. So just look about that and reevaluate the value of your vote.
Absolutely. Lynn and Steph.
Okay. Like I said before, Deuce, what I care about gets done. My wife wants to read something for Around the Horn, so take it away, wifey.
Oh, well, ask them to put up the, hey guys.
Hey.
They have access to the picture.
Okay.
I don't know about.
So
Jay Glass, are you able to put up the picture that I posted to the group text?
I'd have to. It'd take me a second. I'd have to send it to
okay.
myself.
Okay.
Ah, give me a second.
Okay.
Give me a second. I will get there.
No, go ahead and finish.
Because this won't work, will it?
I said
That's
what I
not
had to
bootleg.
say. Hand it off to you.
That's bootleg. Huh?
There
I
it
don't know if that works.
Deuce got it up.
Oh, okay. All right. I was going to put it on the big screen.
You're gonna do it more professional.
I mean,
Yeah.
Deuce
I'm
got
doing
it.
the Alabama way.
This is in the spirit of Reverend Jesse Jackson. So I put my experience of meeting him, RIP Reverend Jesse Jackson, while working as an associate producer and writer at Fox 26 here in Houston. I had the pleasure of meeting and preparing the Rev, as I called him, for his interview. He affectionately referred to me as daughter. After seating him and his team in the waiting room, I offered him coffee or water. He chose coffee. I asked him how he'd like it. He told me however I made it, he was sure he'd like it. So when I brought it to him, he took a sip of it and said it was oh so good. While applying his mic, I noticed his hands were a little, as we say, ashy. I excused myself, ran to my desk, and got my lotion. Now all I had to do was tell him. You know I did. I said something like, "Excuse me, Rev." He said, "Yes, daughter." I said, "You've done so much for our country and our people. You know how important you are, and I'm so blessed to be meeting you today." After thanking me for the compliments, he asked me what else was on my heart. I said, "With that said, there is no way I can let you go on national television with those ashy hands." He looked at his hands, which were huge, by the way, laughed out loud and said, "Daughter, you are right, and I appreciate you." He then opened his hands for the lotion and moisturized his hands. I was relieved. Here's the kicker. Then he said, "When I was a boy, ashy hands were proof to mother that I'd had my bath." And thank you, Reverend Jesse Jackson, for your hard work, love, sacrifice. May the good Lord rest your soul and bless your family through this time of bereavement. So enjoy your just rewards. That was my
See it?
yeah. Oh, okay, cool. That was my experience with the late great Rev Jesse Jackson.
That's much appreciated. Thank you for sharing that story. Yeah, you know, I try to move kind of quick when it's needed, you know, doing some production in the background, you know.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was quick.
But you know what he said about proving that you took a bath? That's
Yeah.
how we proved we took a bath.
Yeah, that's you ain't watched
You
your
can't
hands.
fake. You can't fake that ash. You
Right.
can't
That
fake
ass,
Right.
yeah.
You
It's
can't
so
produce
ingrained in your in the
Oh,
cracks.
you brown skinned black folks. Y'all don't know no great ass. Y'all don't hear all that. Hear all that.
It was just funny to have him say that because he was just so, it was early in the morning because I worked overnights and he was on the morning show and he was just, real. And it was just funny. He was like, "Oh, who would have thought all this time, having ashy hands was proof to mother that I had a bath." And I thought about my uncle, how he used to get in the bathtub, but only put his feet and ankles in there. So if my grandmother saw his ankles ashy, instead of just getting in the tub, it's like, what are you doing? So I just thought that was real sweet and funny. And, Jesse Jackson been around forever. As long as I've been alive, and so it was, just a little unbelievable that somebody keep hope alive and, I am somebody, all those wonderful things.
Yeah.
And that whole movement, that's special. And it's just, he was a part of an era that got all of us to where we are today.
Agreed. Lynn, did you have anything to add?
I told you that was
Yeah.
mine.
Hey, how do you follow that anyway?
There you go. Exactly.
That's
I'm done.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All right, Brooks, you up next.
You're welcome.
Hey, team. Again, an honor to be on the show, to be heard, to listen, to learn. Love you all. Like I said, I'm a fan of like voter ID. You gotta why not? show your ID. Like all that we do in life, whether you drive a car, whether you buy booze from a store, you gotta show your ID. Shouldn't be a big deal. Actually, it shouldn't be a big deal at all. Like I believe in, like, if you serve in the military and you're 18, you serve in the military, you should be able to drink a beer. Damn right. But like, that's how I feel about it.
Just go to Tijuana. That's what I did.
Right? But that's how I feel about it. Again, the show, fantastic. I want a t-shirt, by the way, bro. Owen, thank you guys. Have an awesome night.
All right, my brother. I appreciate that. And last but definitely not least tonight, we got Rich.
All right.
Rich, aren't you supposed to let us know what? You had us waiting all show?
So
You got an announcement, bro?
no, because I had court today, and I don't know if I'm gonna get a favorable verdict. I know the dreams I've had from God. I know the things other people have told me. So at the end of the day, whether I win in court in the appeals court or if I lose, my faith in God through Jesus Christ has not wavered. And that is that. I have to say this for Mr. Brooks, because sometimes him and I disagree. I'm agreeing a lot tonight with Mr. Brooks. I strongly
That's
believe.
scary. I don't know if I like that.
So, if you're 18 and you can die for the country, you should be able to drink, and you should be able to drink in this
Damn
country.
right, dude. Damn right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I also kind of agree with Mr. Brooks about voter ID, and you don't necessarily need a passport with this SAVE Act, even though the Constitution, as Mr. Glass said, the Constitution said the states control their ballot boxes. But you can also have a birth certificate, which I hope everyone, particularly if you're African American, if you don't have your birth certificate, I wish every time we have a podcast, an African American would come on and say, "Well, I don't have my birth certificate. I can't afford it. Can you send me your name so I can send you the money?" So I'm not just telling you what I think. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I'm gonna help
We'll
you get your
find
birth
that shit
certificate.
for you. Like, let's go.
Well,
I got your back
and I
there.
think we should make that as part of our part of the podcast. That since we live in debt anyway, day to day, month to month, if there's an African American who can't afford to get their birth certificate, and we're screaming about, we want you to vote, send us your name, and we'll send you the money, and let's get you your birth certificate. So there's no excuse. Okay. With that being said, finally, let me talk about Reverend Jesse Jackson. We all like who we like, and we all dislike who we dislike. I'm going to withhold my opinion on Reverend Jackson until after the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan passes. And once he passes away, then I will give my opinion on both men, because both men came out of the 60s. If I'm correct, Reverend Jackson was there when Dr. King got shot. And if I'm correct, Minister Farrakhan, after Malcolm X was shot, eventually he became the head of the Nation of Islam after Elijah Muhammad stepped down. So two black men, their careers kind of took off out of the 60s when two other black men had their lives taken from them, because those two black men, you could not buy their integrity. Along with two white men, the Irishmen, the Kennedy boys. You couldn't buy them out either. And then you had some other black folks, you couldn't buy out their integrity, and they were called the Panthers. They were eliminated in the 60s into the early 70s as well. With that being said, I'm going to withhold it. But he has done an incredible accomplishment for the African American community. But every person in this country, everything you do right and everything you do wrong, at the end of the day, they're going to put all that together, and then they have to make an overall opinion about your conduct and your contributions to this country. And I know a lot of Americans are going to say negative things about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. See, it's easy to salute Reverend Jackson. That's easy. It ain't so easy to salute those in the Nation of Islam. I'll withhold, and when I salute one, I'll salute the other at the same time. Thank you very much.
And with that, we got to go. Thank y'all for coming out. God bless and good night.
Good night.